Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Keeping It Real on Purpose. I am your host, Edna White, your life purpose coach and author. This is the podcast for the all around woman where we challenge your everyday thinking and limiting beliefs around life, relationships, and your business to help you live your life purposefully. Today on the show, most excitingly, I'm excited about her. Charged already. We're excited to have our guest, none other than Leslie Davis, Empress of the World, and author of You Can't Eat Love. Welcome to Keeping It Real on Purpose.
Edna, thank you so much. I love the introduction, but mostly I love your show, keeping it real on purpose. Because how many times do we say, let's keep it real, and we really don't mean let's keep it real.
Right.
What we mean is say to me what I want to hear.
Yeah, you're right. We do that.
I like that you add the on purpose.
Yeah, I was going to say keeping it real, but everybody says that. And I said, nah, I need to keep it real on purpose.
Yeah.
So I want to know, Empress of the World. What is that?
What?
Who are you? Tell me about Empress.
Well, my husband's always trying to tell me that he's the king of the castle and all that, he has the last word, he has the last decision, and I keep informing him, he may be the king, but I am the empress, and, the king bows to the empress. So, I get to, one of the crazy things about, these days is we can declare ourselves to be anything, anybody, any whatever that we want to be.
Oh, sure.
So why not put the title on myself that I am Empress of the World?
Right.
Why not?
Why not? I love it. I just love it.
Oh, thank you.
I love it. Thank you, Empress. Tell us about being the author of You Can't Eat Love. One of my favorite books and movie is Eat, Love, Pray. What's one of my favorites. The movie, I love it. The book, I love it even more. But I'm excited to hear about You Can't Eat Love. Tell me about that. Let's tell the audience about that because we're anxious to hear this.
Well, You Can't Eat Love is based on, or it's not based on, it is the story of how I learned to love myself. About almost 7 years ago, I was at, people have these rock bottom whatevers. I have decided that I'm simply going to say I had a bottom. I'm not going to tempt the fates to send me any lower to a lower bottom. So anyway, I hit a bottom. And I realized that I could make two choices. One was, continue on the path that I was going, or I could get healthy mentally, physically, and emotionally. And I knew what the physical part was, because at that point in time, I actually weighed almost 100 pounds more than what I do right now. But what I didn't know and what I thought was going to be easy was, the emotional and the mental work that I needed to do.
Okay.
And what I discovered was that was the hard work of the hard work.
Right.
Because truthfully, what happens from our shoulders up is reflected from our shoulders down.
Ooh.
And so I went on this journey to become my very, very best self. And along the way, I discovered that I had what I called a myself-sized hole in my heart that I was trying to fill with food because I did not love myself. I imagined that everybody around me didn't love me, but the truth was I did not love myself. And that's the only love that I was truly missing.
Wow.
So that's why the book is titled, You Can't Eat Love.
Ooh, that's powerful. Love it.
Oh, thank you.
I love it. So, tell us a story that you tell in You Can't Eat Love, or a part that isn't, it's I guess, most intriguing to you that, just share with us? I'm intrigued by this already. I just ordered it.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I can't wait to hear what you think about it. Well, I start off the book with something that I struggled with, and that was accepting the lie, not accepting, but recognizing, realizing, and being real on purpose with myself about the lies that I was telling myself.
Ooh, that's good.
If you think about it, we say this all the time. I mean, for example, one of my favorite lies that I would tell myself is if I didn't eat sitting down, it had no calories. If a cookie was broken, it had no calories because all the calories fell out.
Ooh.
If nobody saw me eating something, it had no calories.
Right.
And if I had a Diet Coke with it, it eliminated the calories.
Right. Wow.
And then, some people will say if they eat green things, it
has no calories.
A negative effect on the calories.
Yeah.
So I've had readers come back and they say, I laugh at the beginning, but then I see myself. Because truthfully, in just about anything that we struggle with, there are lies that we tell ourselves in order to help ourselves feel better and justified with our choices. So I open the book up by being very real. In the whole book, I'm very real, and I don't hold anything back. But I open it up by almost poking fun at myself, but not poking fun at myself, by revealing these lies that I told myself. For example, one of my big lies that I would tell myself is that my family would enjoy these sugar cookies that they make around here. And they're soft sugar cookies. We have this icing, and depending upon what holiday it is, it's a certain color. Like they just finished with Valentine's, so the icing was pink or red. And then have these sprinkles, decorated on them. And I would decide my family needed that. So I'd buy, the 18 pack. And the truth was, my family didn't care about those cookies. But I decided that they needed that.
Right.
And then I would decide I had done such, hard work grocery shopping, because, it's incredibly labor intensive and you get all that cardio work in. So I would need, a smackerel to get myself home, because that was a long drive, all of 15 minutes if I ran into traffic. And so I would put the cookies up on the front seat, and then I would get my one cookie out. I'd put my car in reverse. I'd back out of the parking space and start driving home. 3 bites later, that cookie was gone. And the other 17 were hollering to follow their friend. So on my incredibly long drive home, all of 15 minutes with traffic, then I would consume all 18 cookies. And then I'd get out of the car, I'd dust all the sprinkles off, I'd swish Diet Coke in my mouth to get the coloring off of my tongue, and then I'd bury the empty box in the bag so that I could put it into the trash, nobody seeing it. And, that was a lie that I was telling myself.
Right, yeah, yes.
And the crazy thing is that I came to recognize and understand is while I was lying to myself, the world was seeing the results.
Yeah. Of the lie. Oh, yeah.
And I tell people in the book that there are 3 people inside of you. Yeah. There's actually more than that. Let's just talk about 3 right now. There are 3 people in you. Me, myself, and I. Me and myself want you to be happy.
Okay.
They want, at whatever expense, whatever cost, they want you to be happy.
Okay.
I seize everything. So me and myself are the ones that are helping you to lie to yourself.
Oh.
And I is sitting there watching.
Right.
And asking, what is really going on here?
Right. Ah, that's good. Me, myself, and I. Oh, that's very good. Oh, I like that.
Thank you.
I really like that, Leslie. I like that one. So I still want to hear more. So keep going. I'm loving this book.
Anytime we struggle with something, I mean, it can be food, it can be, too much of anything, alcohol, drugs, whatever.
Right.
A lot of it circles back around to our own personal feelings of self-worth. And
right.
what I, came to realize, as I already said, I didn't love myself. And so I went on a journey to start loving myself.
Mm-hmm.
Well, part of that involved rewriting the tapes that are in my head.
Right. Okay.
And I talk about creating new habits, new thought patterns, like being on a muddy road.
Mm-hmm.
We drive on a muddy road. We keep driving on the muddy road. We form these really, really deep ruts where the car is almost self-driving. You put it in the ruts and you just hit the accelerator and you can watch a movie, read a book, whatever, because it's not going to come out of the ruts, right?
Right.
Well, that's the way habits are. And it doesn't make any difference if they're a good habit, a bad habit,
right.
a destructive habit, a helpful habit. It doesn't matter. That's what habits are. They're ruts on that muddy road. So when I made the decision that I was going to start changing some of these things, it's like trying to drive down that muddy road and not fall into those ruts.
Mm-hmm.
So you drive more slowly, you pay more attention, you are more aware of your surroundings, you creep along little by little by little by little. And then you get to the end of that muddy road and you're like, oh my goodness, I made it.
Mm-hmm.
And each time you do it, you're like, oh my gosh, I made it. There's this sense of relief, but each time there's a quicker sense of relief, more excitement, and you're putting ruts in. So each time you drive down it, you're building new ruts.
Okay.
Now the key to the whole thing really is to celebrate.
Right.
Because our brain wants to be happy. And truthfully, honestly, if you think about the kid that acts up in school all the time, the payoff is somebody is paying attention to them.
Absolutely.
Okay, so our brain wants somebody to pay attention to it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't care if it's for something good or for something bad.
Mm-hmm.
So what I realized was that there was nothing, I never made a bad choice. I never cheated.
Mm-hmm.
I had 3 kinds of choices. They were good choices, great choices, or not so good choices.
Right, okay.
And you can only cheat on your taxes, a test, or your significant other.
Uh-huh. You can't cheat on yourself?
No, you cannot cheat on yourself. And you can, there's no such thing as a cheat meal, a cheat day, a cheat anything. No. 3 ways that you can cheat. Taxes, test, your significant other. That's it.
Yeah.
So you see how I'm changing the language, I'm changing the way that I'm speaking to myself.
Wow.
And words have power. I remember when I was much younger, and I talk about this in the book also, somebody said, sticks and stones can break my bones, but words can never hurt me. And I never liked the expression because I knew that words could hurt. Words actually are the most powerful weapon we have in our arsenal. And the words that we say to ourselves are the most powerful of the powerful weapons that we have.
Oh, yes.
They are like a nuclear bomb.
They are. They really are. You're right.
And then here's the trick. When we are speaking to ourselves in an unkind fashion, when we are making unkind remarks about ourselves, to ourselves, we're teaching other people how to treat us.
Yeah. Totally believe that. That's very true.
And then when we say to them, well, you shouldn't speak to me that way, you shouldn't treat me that way, they get really puzzled because they're observing you doing exactly what it is they are doing to
you. Right. You do it to yourself. Right.
Yeah.
So they're just
yeah. So among the things that I talk about in the book and with people, because I do work with people one-on-one, but among the things I talk about are, let's start setting some boundaries. And the most important boundary we need to set is with ourselves.
Right. Yes.
And we need to establish a boundary of how we're going to speak to ourselves, how we're going to think about ourselves, the words that we're going to be choosing to either allow to run around in our head,
right,
or the words that we are going to say out loud.
Right. Great. You said a whole lot, and you're telling us how the audience and myself, how that you show up in the world, and that frequency is high. It is high. I love it. That is super. You really touched my heart with a lot of what you said. I'm loving your book already, and you did touch on the subject of you transitioning the book into your coaching one-on-one with people. How do you tie the book into when you coach with them? Is that something that you do, or it just automatically just happens?
Well, the book is basically my life. It's how I live. It's
right.
my philosophy, my being, my
right.
everything. Mm-hmm. So everything that's in that book is, what I help other people to understand how to incorporate into their lives. And the benefit of working with me is I help them really break it down into very small tasks.
Okay.
Let's take one thing at a time. Let's work on one little tiny thing at a time. The first thing usually I encourage people to do is to decide what boundary they're going to set with themselves.
Right. Okay.
And, write down, what is the boundary I'm setting with myself? How am I going to speak to myself? How am I going to think about myself? What am I going to be saying to myself? Those things, write it down. And then write down how you're going to celebrate when you do those things.
Okay.
Because it's through the celebrating that we really
Absolutely.
Make changes.
I believe that too. I believe that we often forget to celebrate those small steps, and we just go over them. We just, that was what we're supposed to do. And then when the big celebration comes up and we've accomplished something big, a major, we don't know how to even to appreciate it. So I truly do believe that celebrating the small things is very important.
Well, and at first I felt very odd. I felt very strange, very peculiar. And then I decided, what is more important to me? What is more important? Is it more important that I, make these changes? Is it more important that I am able to live, my very best life? Is it more important that I accomplish these goals? Or is it more important that I worry about what other people think about what I'm doing, what I'm saying, how I'm acting? And I decided, something? It is more important that I do this work. And so I celebrate. I celebrate all kinds of things, big, small, and I believe it is more important to celebrate the small things than to celebrate the big things.
Exactly. Because those little things are so important. So important.
Well, and that's where the real change happens.
There you go.
It really
there
is.
You go. There you go.
Confucius, or somebody, it depends on who you ask, said, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step.
Mm-hmm.
We need to be celebrating each and every single step so that we are encouraged to believe that we can take the next step.
That's beautiful. That is amazing. That's really good. Audience, I know that you're getting some good feeding, good words that are coming, and this energy that Leslie has, I don't know. It's on fire. I could say now we're in fire mode now. We're in fire mode. She done got me started. She done touched my heart, and now she's got me on flames. I'm not talking a lot, audience. I'm quiet now because I'm gleaning on what Leslie's saying. It's so important, and I'm gleaning on that. And you might be interviewing me. You might be doing a one-on-one right now. Okay.
Well, I'm impressed that you're saying that. I'm getting you quiet because I've listened to you, and you usually have a lot to say. So.
Yeah, and you got me commandeered here. I'm like, okay, your energy is very good for me, and I'm receiving the knowledge. So I thank you for that. So this part of the show, we get to know you, right? Because now we heard about your book, and we're going to get it. The audience is going to buy it. We're going to connect with you. By the way, how can they connect with you? Where can they find you on social media?
On social media, they can find me at You Can't Eat Love on Facebook and also on Instagram. But on Instagram, there's underscores between each of the words.
Okay.
And also, I have a website, youcan'teatlove.com, and the links to the social media are on the website, plus links to the book, information about me, my story, before and after pictures of me, because you may or may not believe that I lost almost 100 pounds. If you reach out to me, if you message me, email me, whatever, I do respond.
Okay,
I've
great.
had several people say, "You're a real person." Yes, I'm
yeah. That's good to know. Good to know that I'm not talking to like somebody out in the ether.
Artificial intelligence.
Yes. I'm glad that I'm talking to somebody real. So this is the part of the segment that the audience and I get to know you, because now we know all about your business. Now we're going to turn the tables and we're going to know about you personally. So first question, what was the best or is the best compliment you ever received?
Oh, the best compliment that I've ever received was, oh my goodness. I know what it was. Somebody telling me that the way that I tell stories helped them to understand something that was very complicated, where they had struggled. But when I told them a story, they got it immediately.
Okay. Okay. So you use a lot of personal experiences, things like that, right?
Well, no, not so much.
Okay. But you do tell stories that keep you like riveted. Like, okay, I want to hear the rest.
For example, when I worked in the world of insurance, I worked in commercial insurance, and the contractors didn't understand what their general liability limits were, and so I would tell them, it applies to the other guy and the other guy's stuff. Anything that you can say is me, mine, ours, doesn't apply. And then they would ask me a question specifically about their limits, and I would tell them if they had a 1 million occurrence, 2 million aggregate policy, I would say, well, you can burn down 2 $1 million houses in a year. And they say, I'm not going to do that. I said, I understand that, but now you know how your limits work. And they would laugh.
Really good. That's really good. That's good. That is
they
excellent.
Would understand.
Oh, sure. I understand that. Definitely understand that. Okay, so what would you pick for your last meal? Speaking to someone who's conquered food.
Well, it's just that I don't use food as my drug of choice anymore.
Yes, that's great.
So for my last meal, I would choose crab meat quiche.
Ooh. Wow.
And the reason that I would choose crab meat quiche is for several of my birthdays, that's what my mother would fix as my birthday meal. And so it's always, I love the taste, I love the texture, I love the aroma, but it also comes with it, some really great memories. And that's what I hope people understand. We can have the memories, we don't have to have the food.
Nice. That's nice. Okay. So now that we know that will be your last meal. So
With a Diet Coke.
With a Diet Coke. With a Diet Coke. Okay.
No ice.
No ice.
Diet Coke.
Okay. And so with that, are there any best tips you can share with other women who are in business that you can give to them, or maybe not in business, but writing a book? Anyone that wants to write a book or has written a book, what can you give them? And final thoughts, some tips or idea what to do.
If you're wanting to write a book, what I would suggest is that you grab just a piece of paper and a pen and just start dumping the ideas onto that piece of paper. Don't worry about how neatly organized it is or anything like that. Scribble all over that piece of paper and just let those ideas dump out. And then you can do what I did, which was I transferred each individual idea onto a Post-it note and then organized them. Because I promise you, your ideas that are falling out, no matter what order they're in, they will have some connections, and you can build your outline from that. Okay. And probably even your subchapters.
Okay.
And if you've written a book and you're not knowing what to do next, my first suggestion is that you get that book up on your screen or print it out and start reading it out loud. And the reason that I suggest reading it out loud is your ear hears differently from when you are reading with your eyes and your brain. And you will find all kinds of typos, grammar issues. Mm-hmm. Anyway, you'll discover a whole lot by reading it out loud.
Right.
That you don't discover by just reading it. Mm-hmm. So read it out loud. That's my first step. And then my next step is fix everything you discovered while you're reading it out loud, mm-hmm. and then read it out loud again.
Okay. Cool.
And get it off to an editor. And if anybody would like, some additional tips or help publishing their book, I can help them do that as well.
All right. So you know how to get in touch with our audience. And that brings us to the end of the show. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, remember to donate. Please share it with others. Post it about social media and leave a rating or review. And to catch the latest from me, you can follow me on Facebook, EJW Coaching. You can catch me on Instagram, EJW Coaching, and on Twitter, EJW Coaching. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time. Remember, I help women of color break generational curses and patterns and habits to get the best life ever. And always draw abundance, have happiness, and a whole lot of fun. This is Edna White, your host, and my guest today, Leslie Davis, signing off.